Hey there, welcome. You are here for HoneyBook Basics. This is our quick start guide. This is going to be our 30-minute session all around getting set up in your new HoneyBook account and how to prioritize your time as you start to onboard to the new system. So let's dive in. First things first, my name is Mac. I'm part of the product education team. We might have met before in some of our webinars. If not, it is so nice to meet you and so great to have you here. The goal specifically with today's session is that you will walk away with a high-level understanding of the key areas, like I said, to prioritize your time while you're setting up your account. So if you're looking for a deeper dive, you'll want to check out our hour-long session that's going to go through these same topics, just in a little bit more detail. Alrighty, so our agenda today, we're going to be covering the 4 areas that you want to focus your energy while you're setting things up. But before we dive into that, I want to go through some basics with you guys. For all HoneyBook members, we want to tell you what it is you need to know as you are first kind of getting acquainted, right? What are the very bare minimum basics, kind of foundational knowledge that you need as a new member? First things first, you kind of need to know what is HoneyBook. What is this system that you just committed to? What does HoneyBook do? So HoneyBook is a client flow management system. That basically just means that we help you create, track, share, and organize all of your client communications from very first inquiry through the end of your job. So that'll include things like scheduling, invoicing and collecting payments, contracts and e-signatures, all of your communication back and forth, and making that process as seamless as possible. Other favorite tools are things like lead capturing, automations, okay? So that's really the bulk of what HoneyBook is going to be offering to you. The second thing you need to know here is that we have complimentary account setup. This is available regardless of the plan that you're on, regardless of the type of business you have. If you've purchased membership with us, we will be reaching out to offer this service to you free of charge. It's part of the package deal here. So when you purchase membership, there will be a screen that pops up in your membership tab saying, hey, you want to upload your materials now? If not, we'll send you plenty of follow-up emails. So I would honestly just go to your email and type in HoneyBook account setup and see what comes up there. But there also is a link with more information in this Help Center article that you can check out there. Basically, the deal here is we will take all of your different materials and files and communication that you use in terms of the documents that you share with clients. So that could be things like pricing guides, invoices, contracts are a huge one, invoices, welcome packets, that kind of documentation you use to sell your services, questionnaires for onboarding, offboarding, that kind of stuff. Send that our way. If you already have it as part of your business process, obviously, don't build something out just to send it to us. In the transition to the HoneyBook tool, we'll take that information that you're using today and we will set it up inside of your HoneyBook account so that you don't have to waste any time on that learning curve. The next time you log in, you'll have a little bit more of a familiar feel to your account and be able to get used to it really quickly. So that takes us about 3 to 5 business days to get that set up. Highly recommend you guys take advantage of that. Even if you only have a couple things, a couple contracts, just one contract even, let us do that for you to handle kind of the formatting and learning curve there so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, the next question that I always get here when we're talking about complimentary account setup is, but Mac, what if I'm just starting out? What if I'm just getting started? What if I don't have that information? No problem at all. If you're just starting out, you don't have anything to transition over, right? So that service is really meant for those folks who have kind of that established business already and they need to transition that information into the HoneyBook tool, and we want to make that transition as smooth as possible. If you're just starting out, you kind of need to start from scratch a little bit anyways, and you can do that right in the HoneyBook system with the help of our incredible template gallery. So I'll go into this in a couple of minutes and show you where this lives, but it's a great source for inspiration, but also a great jumping off point if you don't already have these materials built out for your business. Okay, so those are our 3 kind of basics. Now I want to go into how to prioritize your time. So we're going to go into the 4 tools that you need to understand and set up first in your HoneyBook account in order to be set up for success as a new member. The first stop on this road is going to be your company settings. We're starting super basic here. We're going to go through the core company settings, account settings, that kind of stuff, branding that you need to get established first off. And this list of 4 is actually in order too. So keep that in mind. We're going to start out in the company settings with these basics, and some of those things will impact the areas that we go into later on. So just keep that in mind. This is kind of the order you'd want to do it in. I would approximate that the company settings portion of prioritizing your time would take a max of, let's be super, conservative on this estimate here and say that it'll take you 15 minutes. I think if you already have a lot of this information at your fingertips, for example, if you have like a branding guide that you've worked on with a designer or something like that, this might even just take you 5 minutes. So let's say anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes for this first portion, okay? So I want to show you where to do this in your account. So you're going to come into your HoneyBook account and pop over to your company settings here under your profile picture. This is going to default to drop you off in your company brand, and this is where I want you to spend your first couple minutes of time making sure that all this information looks good, but specifically focusing on these branding elements, making sure that the button colors reflect your branding, making sure that your logo is loaded up here, any default header images have been selected. Most importantly, I want you to focus on your company smart file theme. What this is going to do is we can click customize company theme here. So this is where you can upload your own custom fonts, customize any colors, anything like that. This is where you can really customize the kind of baseline of where you're jumping off from when it comes to file creation. So what your company theme is going to do is it's going to let HoneyBook know what your branding elements or kind of branding standards are, so that every time you go to create a new file, these are the default settings that will populate into that file, so you don't have to adjust it every single time. This is also super helpful if you're planning to use any of the templates from the template gallery, because with one click, you can blanket apply your branding, aka your fonts, your colors, etc., to the file without having to go page by page and update that information. So this is a really great first thing to do. So you could set that up here, go ahead and hit save if you've made any changes, maybe give yourself a nice email signature here as well. These are kind of the basic branding elements. Where I really want you to spend the majority of your time as you're in the company settings section is under this preferences tab. So out of that 15 minutes, maybe even 10 of those are spent here, because this is where you can customize really the true settings of your account. So things like customizing your lead source list to reflect where your leads are actually coming from. Things like your project types. This is a huge one here, because this is essentially going to be your list of kind of services you provide, clients that you work with. Projects in HoneyBook are basically your jobs. So what kinds of jobs do you take on? Are your jobs defined by the packages that you sell? Are they defined by the neighborhoods that you serviced? Are they defined by XYZ? You kind of need to determine that for your business. But once you've figured that out, you want to set up this list to help you stay organized, because this is information you're going to collect really early on from your clients, ideally in the contact form, which we'll go through in a couple of minutes. And you want to make sure that this list is accurate, so that when your clients are filling out that form, or when you're talking to them on the phone or whatever as an initial inquiry, or during your kind of mutual qualification sales process, you have an idea of who they are and what they're interested in receiving from you. So make sure that this list is updated accurately. You can add more here. You can hover and delete, edit anything you need. Go ahead and hit save when you're all done. and really make sure you spend some time in those project types, as well as these different notifications. So company notifications, actions, payment reminders. Spend some time reading through those and making sure that you understand what they are, because that's how HoneyBook is going to notify you. But that's also a couple of ways that HoneyBook will notify your clients, aka payment reminders. So you want to make sure that this is reflecting the cadence, verbiage, whatever it is that you want for your business. So make sure you're up to speed on what those things are and adjust them here. The last place I want you to hang out as you're setting up your company settings is down here in the bank details. I want you to connect your bank account sooner rather than later, aka before you start accepting payments from clients, because this is where you attach your bank account so that HoneyBook can know where your funds need to be delivered when you are collecting payments. So when your client pays you through the HoneyBook system, we need to know where to send the funds. Once you add your bank account here, we know where to send them, so there's no delay or anything like that. Save yourself that headache. Listen to my advice. The company settings, you want to set these up first. Add your bank account. Sometimes you need your EIN and stuff like that, and it's kind of, you got to dig up that paperwork and all that stuff. So set this up first, and then go ahead and start using it with your clients after you've set it up. So again, we'll be going through these steps in chronological order, and that's one of the first areas where you want to hang out and get things set up. Okay. Moving right along, after you've set up your company settings, I want you to set up your templates. Now remember, we do offer complimentary account setup. So your My Template section here, which by the way, I just popped down to Tools and My Templates to get over here. Your My Template section, by the time you get here, hopefully, the concierge team has already had the option to receive your materials and set them up for you. So this section should look pretty familiar, hopefully by the time you get here. Okay, before we dive into much more detail, you do kind of need an introduction to what templates are. If you're not someone who uses templates in your business today, these are essentially, it's not like we've reinvented the wheel here, right? Like, templates are meant to be a baseline or a jumping off point for communicating with your clients. So that is to say that a template should never contain client specific details, right? It should be almost like a placeholder or a kind of bare minimum of getting right up to the line of where you would add client details and stopping there, right? So that's the way we need to approach templates. That's how we need to think about them. Just to kind of get your mind thinking in the right direction, some typical templates that you might want to have set up for your business. Again, if you're just starting out or you're just kind of getting introduced to a system like this, you might not have a super solid grip on like your process. That's one of the great things about HoneyBook, is we start to give you visibility into that and help you understand that. So some typical steps or typical client flow steps that you might want to build some templates around would be kind of that initial inquiry process, right? What types of messages are you sending in that stage? Selling your services, what kinds of documentation, email templates, communication are required of you, or information do you want to collect from your clients at that stage in the process? When you're booking them, when you need to collect payment and contract information, what documentation and emails do you need around that? And then throughout the time of managing the project, what different documentation, communication, email threads might you need to have saved so that that kind of repeat work, right? That's essentially what we're talking about with templates. How much repeat work are you doing? Save that as a template. So thinking through those stages, right? Inquiry, selling your services, booking your services, project management, collecting feedback and offboarding clients. Those are some kind of typical client flow steps that you'll want to consider, or just even keep in the back of your head as you're addressing the template section. Okay, so to give you an idea, when you are setting up a template in HoneyBook, or rather when our team is doing it for you, the options of what you have here, anytime you're inside a file, you have the option to add any of these blocks, we call them. So you can have text, You can ask questions of your clients. You can have images, video. You can have services showcased. So what this is going to do is it's going to list out the specific services for this file that you'd like to communicate to your clients. And it'll actually allow them to go through and select the services or add-ons or however you want to display them. It'll allow them to select what services they're interested in either hearing more about or moving forward with booking with you. Contracts, very straightforward here, legally binding documents with an e-signature element. And then of course, invoice and payment, where we're going to showcase what the client is receiving from you, a payment plan with amounts and due dates, and then of course, the ability to pay those things. So anytime you're creating a file, this is what you'll be looking at here. Now, how do all those pieces come together to create a file? This is an example here of a pricing guide. So this first page is a welcome page, introducing your client to your process and who you are. We've got a page for setting expectations here. Again, this is just an example to show you how these things can come together just to get your gears turning. This is by no means something that you absolutely need to build for your business, just to kind of, again, act as a source of inspiration. This is actually one of our templates from the template gallery. So if this is something that looks good to you, you can go check it out over there. So again, setting expectations with your clients. Now going into the process, hey, this is how I work. This is what you can expect. Step 1, discover. Step 2, we're going to kick things off. Step 3, we're creating. And step 4, we're going to refine things. How can I help you? These are the different ways we can work together, aka let me show you the different package options that I have, listing these out, and again, allowing your clients the option to select. So we have this service component in this specific file. Some add-on options down here at the bottom, and then the final page is getting started. So again, assuming that your clients have gone through this file, this is really like a sales packet, right? So going through this file and now they're ready to move forward, giving them the option to book a consultation and contact info. Okay, so just again, an example here of what these files can do and how they might come together. Essentially, what you need to think about when you're building a template in HoneyBook is what do you need them to do? So again, picture the steps in your process, right? Inquiry, selling your services, booking, collecting feedback, project management, any of those stages. Zoom in on one and think about, okay, what file do I need at this time? What do I need it to do? So what's the functionality of this file? Do I need a contract? Do I need an invoice? Do I need service selection? Do I want to include a video? Do I need to ask questions? Looking at those blocks and seeing what you need the file to do. Deciding what the file needs to look like. So what do you want it to visually feel like to your clients? How does your branding play a role in all of that, depending on the step in your process? And then what do you need the file to say? Depending on the step in your process, what are you trying to convey to your clients? What are you trying to collect from them? What do you need it to say? What is the actual content or meat of the document that you're putting together? Okay, so those 3 elements kind of make up a template. What do you need it to do? What do you need it to look like? And what do you need it to say? Again, if this is super overwhelming to you, I would say just start with the basics. There's no reason that you can't just send a basic contract single page document in a HoneyBook. You can absolutely do that. What I'm trying to show you is like the end side of the spectrum of what the system can do if you'd like it to. Okay, so that's our little intro to templates and getting those set up. You can let our team do that for you. You can organize the files into folders, but you can also filter to find what you need here by invoice. So if you want to see only your invoice files that contain an invoice block or a contract block, you can filter those things down. And our template gallery lives over here. So you can come in here and explore to find what you need based off of the file type that it is and even the industry that you are in. So that is our template gallery. If you're just starting out or if you need more inspiration, even visually for how to get these files really looking fabulous, this is a great place to go. Okay, let's move on. So we went through company settings, setting up your templates. Now we need to go through lead capturing, because once we've got all of our files set up to be able to communicate with our clients, it's time to start getting our clients into the HoneyBook tool. How do you do that? We're going to come over here to the contact form. So this contact form can be completely customized to, again, look the way you need it to look, but also do and capture the information you need to capture. So up here at the top, I've added an image and some text. You can also add more questions that same way. So if you hit the plus button, it'll open up the list of questions. It'll default into the custom question area, but I would encourage you guys to all start in the suggested question area. So there's two different types of questions you can add. You can add custom questions or suggested questions when it comes to the contact form. I want you guys all to hang out in the suggested question area first and foremost, to include as many of these as pertain to your business as possible, because these are essentially smart fields. So what that means is this information will be asked of your clients in the contact form, aka at the time of inquiry. It'll pull into HoneyBook, and those fields can then later fill in things like a contract. So it's going to be a really dynamic way to collect information from your clients and kind of continue to fuel the automation or really streamlined process that HoneyBook is going to be able to offer you, rather than just having a custom field that really you're only going to be able to reference if you go back to the contact form and review it later. So using these suggested questions is going to give you the option to access that information and pull it in where applicable later on. AKA, it's going to work really hard for you, so I want you to save time and use as many of these as you can. So this actually is where that project type question comes into play that we were looking at earlier in the company settings. So you want to go ahead and get that set up and ask that question early on. I think I've got it down here. What services are you interested in learning about? We can see this is linked to the project type field, and my list of options is here. So this is a great way, again, to collect that information from your clients. You can customize these questions to be worded however you need them to be worded. You can get rid of them. You can drag and change the order. Again, just customize it to get it looking the way you want it to look, whether that be by adding questions, adding images, text, however you want to do it. Once you get it looking good, there are some different sharing options. So first and foremost, I want you guys to add this to your website. So you're going to hit this publish button up here, and it's going to pull up instructions for how to do that. So you're going to go ahead and add it to your website. So anyone who inquires through there will get access to this form, fill it out, and be automatically added to the HoneyBook system. So we'll go into that in just a couple of seconds. So you can collect the inquiries from your website. The other option is using this direct link down here. So what this is going to do is it's going to essentially be a standalone landing page version of the contact form that could be your link in your Instagram bio. It could be a note that you save on your phone so that people who are texting you, you can send it out to them so that everything is really funneled into one place. Basically, your website can collect through the contact form that way, and the direct link is going to be your catch-all for all non-website inquiries. So anywhere else people are inquiring, you want to make sure you have the direct link on deck to be able to either send off to them or give them access to proactively, so that when they get to that lead source, they have access to this contact form and can also fill it out. Okay, so you've got the website inquiries, and then you've got everything else with the direct link. Okay, and then you can start sharing it out. And once you start sharing it out, you'll be managing your projects and working with your clients in the HoneyBook system, and that means that it's time to get paid. So this is the last area you're going to focus your energy. So that's where we're going to wrap up our session today. I hope you're still with me. This is the last little piece. Okay, so once your clients fill out that contact form, they'll be automatically added here into the HoneyBook system under this projects tab, and this is what we call the HoneyBook pipeline. So this is showing you everyone that you're working with and the specific stage that they fall into in your process, whether they're an inquiry. So all of your brand new people who fill out the contact form that you haven't talked to yet, they'll all come into the inquiry tab, whether they be someone you've already sent a bookable file to, so that contains an invoice or a contract element. Have they signed that contract? Have they made a payment? It'll automatically track that behavior and update the stages in your pipeline based on that behavior here. So not only is it going to automatically collect all of your leads using that contact form that we just set up, but now it's also going to track that information across your pipeline for you. We already kind of went through what projects are in HoneyBook. Projects are essentially just the jobs that you're working on, the clients that you're working with. So this pipeline is giving you an idea of all of those different jobs and where they fall in terms of how you operate and how you track that work. Okay, so we already talked about how your clients can get into the system using the contact form, but there is the option to manually add projects as well. You can do that here. So we'll go ahead and add a new project. Let's say this is Max logo design. We're going to call this a logo design project. Lead source, this is a client referral. And then project date. You can totally leave project date blank. However, it is one of those fields that shows when you're looking at your pipeline. So I want you guys to use this to stay organized if you can. If it applies to your business, if you're in the event space, for example, this is a really obvious one. It's just going to be the event date. If you are someone like a logo designer, project date is not something that you're probably super familiar with using for your business, but because it is something that you have visibility into in your pipeline, I want to encourage you to think about how you can maybe use that a little creatively, okay? So for a logo design project, maybe I know that that takes me about a month to do. So I'm going to say, okay, project date is about a month from now. Go ahead and set that in here. Or, with a brand new inquiry, maybe you don't know, but later down the line when they're going to sign a contract with you and you know that contract is going to expire in 3 months because it's a 3-month coaching package, you would want to maybe set the project date to that kind of contract expiry date so that in the pipeline you can have visibility into when you're kind of concluding that contract with the client and you can reach out for renewal, for example. So some different ways to think about project date. Again, you can totally leave it blank, but it is a field that you have access to, so you might as well use it to your advantage, right? So let's go ahead and create this project. It's going to ask us who our participant is, so I'm going to go ahead and add our client's contact information. Go ahead and click add here. This is not sending anything to your clients when you hit add. That's the biggest question I get from my new members. At this point in the process, you are strictly just getting organized and adding their information to the system. HoneyBook is not notifying them of anything. Again, if you would use the contact form, this project would already automatically be created. The client would already be added here, and all of these details in the details tab would have been collected from those smart fields in the contact form, right? So we're starting to see full picture now how those project types that we set up in the company settings influenced the contact form that we set up are now pulling into the project details, and we can even see later how that pulls into the contract as well. So of course you can click your cursor in here and change this information at any time. You can pivot, change dates, whatever you need to do. This is where you can update stage in the pipeline manually if you wanted to do that. But again, remember, HoneyBook is going to track a lot of those stages automatically for you based off of client behavior, like contract signed, payment submitted, etc. Okay, we've got some other tabs here inside of the project with the client. So this activity feed is going to show us our entire conversation history with the client, back and forth, all of our emails, any actions the client has taken. So have they signed a contract? Have they submitted payment? Have they submitted a questionnaire? Have they received a file? Did you send it? All of that information is going to be tracked here in chronological order, which is to say you never have to go digging through your inbox again to find that information. Everything for this specific client is really nicely grouped together here inside of their project in HoneyBook. So if you need to know something about Mac's project, all you have to do is come into HoneyBook, click into her project, and review everything you guys have discussed. Same thing for files. And then of course your payments tab will show you any payment history, any upcoming payments, any payments already submitted, anything like that. Okay, so how do you get paid? That's part of what we're talking about, right? So we've talked about how to get your client information into the system, how to start communicating with them, but ultimately, now that you're confident with the system, it's time to get paid. So how do you do that? Anytime you need to get paid, you're just going to come up to create new inside of your project, and you're going to choose invoice, because that will bring up your list of all of your templates that we just set up, right? That contain an invoice element. So we can pop into the file that we want. So it's really easy to find that. You can say I want one with an invoice and contract, and we can pop right in there and choose that file. That's going to open it up for us. Again, if we remember, the idea with templates is that we don't have to customize very much. Hopefully, we've walked kind of right up to that line of client-specific details. So the only thing we really need to edit here is adding those client-specific details. So in this case, these first 2 pages I don't need to touch. The invoice portion is really where I'll want to adjust things based on the package that the client is receiving from me. So maybe this is not the package the client's receiving, so I want to go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to go ahead and add the package that my client is actually receiving. I can even adjust the price a little bit if that's something that I need to do. I can continue and scroll down here, add any tax or anything else that I need to add. And then I've got my payment schedule where I can adjust the amounts and due dates. Maybe I just want to have 2 payments, so I'm going to delete this 3rd one. And then those will be divided equally. You can change due dates. I'm going to say this next one is going to be a custom date of 1 week before the project date. Okay, so you've got plenty of options here on how you want to set that up. In a matter of a couple seconds, I've been able to adjust this invoice to completely customize it for this person's individual client-specific, job-specific needs, but everything else is ready to go. We can see right away in the contract, all of the client-specific details are already pulled in using those smart fields. So we've got things like the project date, the client's contact information, the fact that it's a logo design project, that's pulling from our project types. The service total is $6,000. That was pulled from the invoice that we just filled out. If you have any fields that still need to be filled out, it'll go ahead and indicate those to you. So you can fill those out here. Now down here at the bottom, you've got our signature lines for both myself and my client. And I am ready to send this off to my client. So it's going to go ahead and pull up my email here. I can pull in an email template. Again, that's why having these templates set up ahead of time is so helpful, because it's giving you that nice jumping off point or baseline for communicating with someone. In my case, this email actually fits my needs perfectly here, so I don't need to customize it. If I did want to customize it, I simply click my cursor in to do so, but I'm going to go ahead and send this off to them. Now we can see that we've been dropped off into this little dashboard where it'll track all of the client's activity within this file. Most importantly, now this payment section has come up. The file section is showing us the file that we just sent off to them, where we can again click into that dashboard we were just on, and the activity feed is now showing us the file that we've sent, the email that it was sent with, and finally the stage has automatically updated to proposal sent, because we sent a file that contains an invoice and contract. Bottom line here, anytime you need to get booked in HoneyBook, you can send a file that contains an invoice element. So long as it contains an invoice element, even if it's just a 1-page document, I know we've been looking at some pretty robust files today, but even if it's just a 1-page simple invoice, you can send that and get paid through the system. Okay, so we've gone through our 4 different sections, right? You're going to start out in your company settings, then you're going to head over to templates, hopefully with our concierge team helping you, then set up your contact form and decide where you'd like to share it, whether it's on your website or using that direct link. Now your clients are starting to get into HoneyBook. You want to manage those projects with them using the pipeline, communicating with them using the templates, and finally sending off any invoices or contracts you need so that you can get paid and get booked through the system. Alrighty, I hope that was helpful. If you again want to go into a deeper dive, we do have our hour-long session you can check out down below, or reach out to concierge for any further questions, and we'll talk to you next time.